Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Thankful Thursday. Well, good evening, everybody. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. I am your host for today, Crisette Ellis from the D. And of course, my supporting staff, the other hosts that are here. We got Gloria Mayfield Banks, all the way from Ellicott City. She is accountant and present. And then we have Sabrina Goodwin Monday, who is out today. Not sure if she's going to be able to listen in. Also hailing now from the DMV. And then we have Caterina Harris Earl, and she is going to be on radio only. So we're going to have 3 out of 4 on today. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be an amazing show because we have an awesome guest. And of course, to all of you that watch us Monday through Friday, as well as our incredible listeners. And we absolutely love when you call us. We love your comments. We love your questions. We love your mind. You have really educated us on a lot of things, and you can always reach us at 313-778-7600. We absolutely love talking with you. Well, it is a thankful Thursday. We're one day away from the weekend. Oh my goodness, I'm excited about the weekend. Thank you, Jalen. And, let me give a shout out to Jalen. Whenever you hear applause, you know Jalen is in the house. So, Jalen, thank you. Thank you. Listen, Jalen, one of the things about the girlfriends, we work hard for applause, okay? You applaud us and we will almost do anything. So thank you for the applause. Well, you guys, there's a lot going on. I'm going to hear from Gloria, see what's going on in her neck of the woods. But let me just give you a little bit of insight about what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're talking about remembering the least of these at Christmas. And we know that is a command that Jesus gave us, is that we are always to look out for the least of these. And the least of these are individuals that cannot take care of themselves. It is the poor, it's the indigent, it is the children. Jesus says, suffer the little children to come unto me. And so when you think about Christmas, and it's just a happy time, right? You really have to be a Scrooge about, I don't like nothing about Christmas. Okay, so you know what? We need to invite you to come on. We got issues, because that's an issue. And so we love what Christmas represents. And it really is more than Santa Claus. It's more than a Christmas tree. It's more than lights. It is a time where the world chooses to be benevolent. We understand that Jesus is the reason for the season. We understand that God gave his greatest gift. And so we are his ambassadors in the earth. And so today we're going to talk about giving back to those to the least of these, to those that don't have. And I was so excited today, Gloria, that I had an opportunity to participate in an event. And I'm going to tell you, what you will find is that when you can give to people and not expect anything in return, or they cannot give you something in return, it just fills your heart. So today, I was at Oakland Mall at Macy's, and you're going to hear from our phenomenal guest who was so instrumental in pulling all of this together. And we had 2 schools that selected children to participate. And then we had children who either their parent was incarcerated, or they died by homicide, or one young lady, her house caught on fire and she had 5 children. One of her daughters, 3-year-old, got killed in the fire and then lost a whole lot. And just the stories and listen to them but most importantly, Gloria, the smiles on their faces. I mean, Macy's did an incredible job. Each child was given $200 to shop with, and I had one little girl.
Wow.
Tell you, yes, right, $200. When I tell you, I took her by the hand. I said, "Girl, you don't know. You with the right person. You say money and shopping." I said, "Come on, girl, let's go." And we had a budget, so I said, "Okay, wait a minute, Shania, we gotta stay on budget." So we were adding her money up. She was the cutest little girl, 8 years old, and was just a there. So we're gonna talk more about that with Darryl, and as he talks about why this is so important and close to his heart. So with that being said, Gloria, I'm going to throw it over to you. What's hot in the news? There's a lot that is going on in the news, but I'm going to throw it over to you.
It's a lot in the news, but I did see you at Macy's, and I thought that was so awesome. It was awesome to see Macy's do that. It was awesome to see you represented that, and to think about that little 8-year-old girl shopping with you, and $200 is a lot, number one, but $200
right
with an 8-year-old is a whole lot. And then $200 with an 8-year-old with an enthusiastic shopper like you, I could, yeah, no, did she get an opinion? Did she have any opinion at all, Chris? Any opinion? Because when I tell you,
oh yeah,
you totally showed her how to grow up. She grew up fast. You guys, seriously, when they talked about Brittany coming home from Russia and they made that announcement, literally, I started crying. Literally, my eyes filled up with water to see the reality of that. Because, you know, the more I read about it, it's just a lot to that story. It's a lot to that. You know, it's a lot to unpack politically. It's a lot to unpack for Russia. It's a lot to see who they traded for. It's a lot that they had to choose one over the other. I mean, that was just, it was a lot to that particular, that was a lot to that particular story. And then to see how they had to keep it a secret. This has been going on for 2 weeks and no one could let it leak. And I mean, it was just a lot to it. But to me, on this particular day, that is the biggest story that's out there, and all the story that's behind it that's out there. Again, you know, TJ Holmes and Amy, where Amy gets to stay on the show and TJ has to be off the show. There's a whole lot to unpack there, because we're talking about giving this show. So I think we should get to the giving, but that was a lot to that piece too. And I need to dig into that just a little bit. It's wrong in my book, wrong on every, but it's interesting why he got asked to leave forever, I guess.
Oh, he
which
got
I don't know
asked
the details.
to leave forever?
Well, she can come back and he cannot.
What, for a while?
Like I said, I don't know all the details. I don't know all the details. But when you bring one back and suspend the other, it's very easy to take that extension of the suspension for a very long time. So, is it the number of times you cheat or the fact that you cheat? You know what I mean? Is it the number of times that you do that? You know, what is the rule? And so it's very interesting to watch a woman that's president of the news to make those kinds of decisions. But it certainly made my ear go up. But I just decided to stay on Brittany today because Brittany coming home is a happy place. And in time for Christmas, the holidays, you know, you did a great intro, Chris, to the show, and it's Christmas time and what people are feeling. I got to go to home. Sabrina sitting up there texting me yesterday about go to Home Depot and get your poinsettias for $7.88. I said, okay. I said, okay.
Have you gone yet? You haven't gone yet?
No, I didn't go today. She sent it yesterday.
You're going to get the
but I'll get there.
Oh, you're going to get there Christmas Eve. That's right.
Hurry up.
That's right. Hey, Kat.
I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them.
We hear you.
Yeah.
We hear you, Kat. Yes. What's going on?
I couldn't help but respond. I just hope, I'm only gonna say one thing on this, but I hope she helps pay that brother's bills. Okay, that's where you really gonna know if she loves you or not. Since she got a job and she doesn't. But Brittany, oh my gosh, it was great to wake up to that, and seeing her on the plane, I was grateful that she looked as good as she looked. Really grateful. But Chris, this is our wheelhouse. I mean, true religion is to widows and orphans and to those that are less fortunate. And so I'm excited to learn and hear about all that Darryl is doing. And I just think the most priceless thing is for you to help some little girls spend their dollars in Macy's. That was If she only knew. If she only knew. Okay.
If she only knew.
So great. So I'm passing it back to you.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and it's amazing. We made it before first break. So we're going to bring our guest on, Darryl Woods, who is not. Yeah, give him a big applause. We're so excited to have Darryl Woods back. Yes. Darryl is not a stranger to We Got Issues. He has been on before. And just as a reminder, his bio is extensive. But the thing that you need to know about Darryl is, number one, that he absolutely loves the Lord. Number two, that he spent 29 years in incarceration. Number three, that it was a miracle, his story of how he was released from prison. Something else that you need to know about Darryl is, you know how they say a lot of times people that are incarcerated, they find Jesus in prison, and then they make all these promises about what they're going to do when they get out. And when they get out, they kind of forget the promises they made on the inside. But what I know about Darryl is his passion for people on the inside, and the thousands of inmates' lives who he changed because of his love for God and wanting to help them. I don't even know the number of inmates who he was instrumental in helping them get released from prison while he himself kept getting denied. And that is the true measure of a person, when they can continue to help people when it looks like they're not going to receive the same kind of help. And so he did all of that. Then through his miracle, those of you that have been watching We Got Issues, you heard his story. He is as passionate on the outside. When I tell you, Elder Darryl Woods is the man. I just have to say this, and then Darryl will have you come on. I mean, I've gone to places, Chuck and I look up, Darryl is there. Chuck and I are 5 seats in the back. Darryl's in the front. I'm like, Darryl, we go here. He at the front at the Pistons game. We all the way in the nosebleed section sometimes. I'm like, Darryl. I was like, you really connected. I said, I'm ready to start calling you for some tickets. I'm ready to call you to hook a sister up. But that's what happens when you are out in the community and people see what you are doing. So Darryl, welcome back to We Got Issues. You got 2 minutes before we go to break, so you can share anything else you want, and then after the break we're going to come back and we're going to move right into why you are so passionate this time of the year to help so many children that can't help themselves.
Well, thank you, you wonderful ladies. You guys are doing an amazing job, and I'm so grateful to be in your presence, because you guys are the rock stars who's making it happen and impacting our community. Definitely been hanging out with the First Lady all day, and we had an amazing time, and can't wait to talk about some of the things that we experienced today. We went there to try to be a blessing to these families, but these families were a tremendous blessing to us. And they just gave us an opportunity to fulfill the scripture and to be able to serve. And we thank God for having a First Lady and a Bishop, Bishop Charles H. Ellis III, for having servant spirits to be able to do the things, to wrap their arms around people who are suffering, people who are hurting, and thank God for Brittany Griner. You know, thank God that she was released. We got a call from a prominent pastor while we was in Macy, right. Because he called me to his church, and we started a 9-day prayer for her because they gave her 9 years, and that
wow. Darryl, hold that, because we want to hear about that, because that's powerful as well. I hear the music. We're going to go to this break, and when we come back, I want you to talk a little bit about that, because that is, so important. And then we'll talk about the children. You guys are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We'll be right back after this break. right, we are back. We are back, and you are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. And our guest today is Elder Darryl Woods, and we're talking about remembering the least of these during Christmas. I know in a couple of weeks, all the kids are going to be running downstairs excited about opening their gifts. But there is a segment in our society of children that don't get the same kind of Christmas as these. And many times they have no Christmas. So we want to talk about that and some things that we can do to make sure that those, the least of these, those that cannot help themselves, that we can be a blessing to them. So right at the break, Darryl, you were talking about the release of Ms. Griner and about Pastor Adams and what he did to support her in that. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Pastor Adams called a number of spiritual leaders together and called his congregation to prayer for 9 days because Brittany was sentenced to 9 years in prison. He had signs all around the city of Detroit asking people to pray. And he called me in on that first day to kick it off. And it was such an anointing in that room. And we decreed and declared that she will be released. And we are very, very thankful that Brittany Griner is released, and we trusting that the other young man will be released. That's who's still there in Russia. We know that there's no secret what God can do. What He done for others, He do the same for you, and we know that that gentleman will be released as well. You know, because it was a grave injustice that taken place in Russia. And I have a thing against Russia because Russia is part of the country, the nation that creates these AR-15 pistol guns that's in our community, that's saturated in our community, that's causing a lot of terror and havoc in urban communities. So definitely it was a pleasure to pray for her. And Reverend Adams, as you know, when he called, he was very, very excited, like we all are. But this goes to the systemic issue of mass incarceration, not only in America, but throughout the world. Right. Black and brown people are always being oppressed by the criminal legal system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? And I don't think that I knew that, Darryl. So thank you for sharing that, you know, Russia is one of the main producers of those. You said AR-57. Is that what it's 15. Called? Mm-hmm. Rifles. AR-15s. AR-15 rifles. So yeah. So we're just excited that Brittany was released on today, and we absolutely do know the power of prayer. So Darryl, talk to us a little bit about, you know, how you got involved with, I know Angel Tree is one of the programs that you support, and today was so beautiful. So talk to us about your passion for it and why this is so important to these families.
Well, absolutely. As you know, I served 29 years in prison. And throughout those years, it was an organization called Prison Fellowship under the leadership of Chuck Colson. And it was Prison Fellowship is a worldwide ministry that minister to the needs of prisoners, those who are incarcerated. Started off in America, then it went throughout the world. And so they developed another organization within Prison Fellowship called Angel Tree. So Angel Tree is an organization that identify parents who are incarcerated, have them fill out an application and send it to them. And once they get those applications, if churches or organizations say that they want to adopt some children who are affected by incarceration, who parents are affected by incarceration, then they adopt them. They give you a choice. You want to take 50, you want to take 100, you want to take 200. They typically would give them, like, you know, a number of kids and say, you know, give you a suggested budget of $25 per child. You know, my children was blessed by Angel Tree for over a decade, well over a decade. And so it was a full circle moment. I was doing a conference in Illinois and ran into the national leader of Angel Tree. And the pandemic had hit, and I asked him, I said, "Is my church involved with Angel Tree?" And he said, "No, not this year, because they've been trying to get a lot of people back online since the pandemic." And so I said, "Well, hey, let me try to bring that back, to us." And so definitely connected with the bishop and say, this is the vision, this is the idea that I have. And he said, "Let's do it." And he put his money where his mouth is, as he always do. And First Lady could testify to that, because she had that card today, his card, just going at it, and so the first segment of the children is our afterglow, if you would. These children were so special because, as First Lady talked about, that they were affected by homicide, fathers murdered, slain in the streets, and they didn't have any type of hope, and they were very, very depressed and down. Some been affected by fire, and losing children, and having all types of struggles. So we wanted to bring some cheer to them. And so we bust them up. We had the idea to bust them up, and work with Macy's, and Macy's was very, very good to us, but we was very, very good to Macy's. So this wasn't a situation where they just gave us some stuff in this particular situation. But we've been raising dollars to be able to, and giving our own money to be able to bless these children, because we wanted to have some skin in the game, and we wanted to be a blessing to these children and to these families. And so one precious moment, I'll pitch it back to you, inside that store today. Very special moment. Young lady, 26 years old, lost her husband, or the father of her children, 4 days ago. And that's the one that lost her 3-year-old daughter too. House burned down, and so me and First Lady asked, can we pray with you? So in Macy's became a sanctuary for her, for us in there, and we prayed with her right at the cash register in Macy's. And First Lady said a very powerful prayer over this sister's life. And when she finished, she was teared up. But the person who drove her there from the Detroit public school system, because they referred that family to us, she said that she was overwhelmed. That was the testimony that he had given us. And she said this, she said, can I come to church on this Sunday? She said, can I come to church on this Sunday? She said, I don't have a ride. Do you have a service to be able to get there? And we said, van service is not operative right now. But the First Lady said this: we will figure it out. We will figure it out. Let's connect, and we'll figure it out. And I'm looking forward to Sunday, by the grace of God, to see this in church. Being able to receive the love of Jesus Christ in that atmosphere.
Wow, so powerful, Darryl, so powerful. And I could just, looking at her, I could tell that she felt the love. And, we talked to her about, her other 4 children. And she said the school system were getting them the mental help that they needed because of the fire and because of losing their 3-year-old sister. But we also encouraged her to make sure that she gets the mental health that she has, because as a mother, she's just I want to make sure my kids have a good Christmas. And, just sometimes we don't take care of ourselves. We think about everybody else, and then it all crashes in. So we absolutely want to make sure that she gets the help that she needs. Gloria or Caterina, if you have questions or comments that you want to make, go ahead.
I do. Darryl, it is so good to see you again on We Got Issues. We're so happy to have you here. You bring such insight and such energy and such a real story that it lifts people up. It's so inspiring. When you were telling the stories of the different people, and just 9 days of prayer, it's just so many ways that God works. But I was so moved when you said that you bumped into the person who is in charge of the angels. And, you know, we sometimes see things that happen as a surprise, but it's all planned out. You know, it's all planned out. The timing is so special. If this is a program that everybody can be participant, how do people participate in those programs if they don't live in Detroit?
Well, absolutely. All they have to do is connect with Angel Tree. And if they want to adopt some children of incarcerated parents, then
Right.
They will be cleared, make sure that they don't have no issues against children. And once they get cleared for that, they can be the leader in their congregation or organization for that matter. You know, Mary Kay can say that, you know, any group can say that, say we want to
Right.
take on some children, but we advise you to partner up with Greater Grace because, you know, we're going to do some phenomenal things there. But it's as simple as that. And they gave us 100 children at first. I said, we'll take 100. And then, you know, then they said, can you take on 50 more? You know, you said, we give us that. And they had a budget of saying that we spent $25 per child, but we had a budget of saying that we're going to do $200 per child. And
Wow.
God gave us the vision and he made the provision up because we wanted to let these children experience something that they never experienced before. I was talking to First Lady earlier.
Go ahead, hold on, Darryl. That's the music playing, so we got to go to another commercial. So when we come back, I'm gonna have you finish your thought, and then there are those that are listening, whether you're in the Detroit metropolitan area or other places, you still have an opportunity to give because this is a situation where you can never have enough. So we'll talk a little bit more about how you can participate in giving to help these children. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We'll be right back after this break. All right, we are back. We are back. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. Our guest today is Elder Darryl Woods, and we are talking about remembering the least of these at Christmas, and just talking about Prison Fellowship, which is now Angel Tree, and how it has been a blessing to so many children whose parents are incarcerated. And today we had an amazing event that was hosted by Macy's, and we just had so many children that were blessed on today. So Darryl, go ahead and share with us what you were talking about right at the break.
Let me make a correction. It was hosted by Greater Grace Temple of the Apostolic Faith, and it was supported.
Let's make that clear. Exactly. Hosted
you
by.
Gave that card up. You gave that card up.
I sure did.
They supported it, and they were phenomenal. Even the owner of Oakland Mall made a nice donation towards this effort. But
wow,
this has been a phenomenal thing, and as today was just a little taste. We're going to have a main event on Saturday that is going to be phenomenal,
right?
Because we believe in giving out fishing rods. We don't want to give out no fish. You know, it's one thing to give a child a toy and give them some clothes. But if we can help empower their family members, their guardians, with the tools and the resources that they need, then they can eat for a lifetime if we give them a fishing rod. And so on this coming Saturday, we're taking on over 100 children. They're going to be over at the church, and we partnered up with Somerset Mall with that, and they came in big. Now, they did sponsor some stuff. I'm talking about North Face coats, Kroger food cards, all kinds of things, you know, computer equipment, bedding, and all of that type of stuff. And one of the owners of Somerset Mall, did the shopping personally with her team. And so they did that for us, but we also was able to get some other added items, because we want this to be so empowering, because some of these children need beds, they need some major items, because the situation that they are living in and transitioning out of. And so what we decided to do to make sure that we have mental health services on the spot there. And so we connected with some of the most reputable mental health programs in the region to be there on Saturday. We have mentoring programs. You guys know Sherelle Hogan. You guys supported her, the Pure Heart Foundation, and she has the Pistons behind her now. She has the Lions behind her. Matter of fact, she just raised $100,000 on Giving Tuesday for the programs that she's doing. And she exclusively deal and mentor children who have an incarcerated parent. And so her group would be there, Teen Wellness would be there, the city of Detroit would be there with also resources, because we want to have job training programs there and job placement programs there. So as the children would come in, we're going to have a puppet show for the smaller children. We're going to have a nice circle for the teenagers, so that we can have some real talk. And then we're going to have the 360 photo booth there, so that they can have a little, get a little jiggy with it, you know. And so we're going to make it exciting, but we also going to make it empowering also. You know, so this is going to be a phenomenal time for these children and for their parents, because if you give somebody a fish, they eat for a day, but you give them a fishing rod, they eat for a lifetime, and that's what we believe in.
Right. Darryl, I have a question. This is
Katrina. I know you're there. Go ahead and chime in.
I have a question. This is so good. Can you talk about? Back in the day, I was a grant writer for nonprofit. And so can you talk about, I know that there are business people listening in. I know that there are people that work in corporate that are listening in. Talk about what your organization needs and how people can contribute individually and even collectively. Somebody out there is, maybe Nike is listening in, or somebody else is listening in that wants to be a part of what you're doing.
But you heard the story of the mother whose house burned down. Wouldn't it be amazing if we circle back up? We had not only have her children to shop, but we said you have to shop too. But wouldn't it be amazing if we can help her have a fresh start, and to be able to help her with the resources that she need to be able to make sure she has some sustainable things in her house as she rebuild. So that's a focus. And then they could. There you go. And she has no vehicle either, and so that is something that she need to be able to get back and forth to a job and to be able to take her children to doctor's appointments and things of that nature, and so we see her and we hear her, but more importantly, God do too. And maybe there's somebody out there who want to be a tremendous blessing to this family. Maybe somebody out there that want to be, a tremendous blessing to get some ongoing counseling for these babies who lost their parents through homicide. So there's always a need, and 100% of what we're collecting is going straight to the children. 100%, and to their families. And so we want to be a tremendous blessing to them. And I encourage folks to sow into this ground. I'm gonna tell you this. I put my money where my mouth is. I won't give you the amount. I don't want to brag or anything of that nature, but I wanted to give so I can feel it though. Because when God put people in the lives of my children when I was incarcerated and they wrapped their arms around my children, I said I had to have some skin in the game, and I wanted to sow a seed to be a tremendous blessing to these families. And so I encourage everyone, if you want to support this, definitely connect with First Lady and myself, and we will make it happen for these families.
Absolutely.
So can you donate? I just want to ask Chris. Can you donate things other than money? You can donate everything.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I want any way you bless me, I'll be satisfied. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that these families are in need, and they're suffering, they're hurting, and every last one of them live in the city of Detroit. Every last one of them live in the city of Detroit. And most of the Angel Tree children that was identified live in the vicinity of the church. So we wanted to touch the people where they were at, and like I said, there's a lot of things that we could do to be a blessing. And, you can give financially or you can give tangibly. We can help coordinate that, and they are in need of it.
Okay.
Yes. And so, you asked how you can give and how you support. If you want to support the effort in Detroit, you absolutely can go to Greater Grace Temple has a Cash App, and I'll have Dorothy put it up. Is GGTCOD. That's GGTCOD, and all of those funds will absolutely go towards the Angel Tree, and the event is on Saturday. But again, all of this money is going 100% towards these children. Darryl, I also want to say, what a full circle moment it is that, the very program that helped your children while you were incarcerated for close to 30 years, now you are out and you are giving back to other children whose parents are incarcerated. God has a sense of humor. It's just amazing. Again, as you said, Gloria, I don't believe there's any such thing of coincidence. I think that all things have a purpose, and sometimes in our life we don't even know, the end of our story. But I just think that's so awesome that now you are one of the biggest proponents of Angel Tree, and that's blessing so many children, as again your children were blessed.
Thank you so much, First Lady. That's phenomenal. And the late Bishop David L. Ellis said this, and it stuck with me for years and years and years. He said it in the early 90s. He said, "Never look down on a man unless you're trying to pick him up." You know, and those words always reign supreme in my heart. And Dr. King says, "Service is the rent we pay for the space that we occupy."
That's right.
And so we have to continue to demonstrate love to our children. There's a crisis going on in our community. Is you talking about a pandemic? It's a pandemic of violence and disrespect and disregard in this society that we live in, and we have to be the light that sit on the hill and be able to demonstrate love to our children, because if we don't love on them and if we don't support them, we don't encourage them, then we're going to be paying tax dollars because they're going to be the next people that's incarcerated. And so if we can snatch them out of the fire, the statistics says that if you have an incarcerated parent, that you are more likely to be incarcerated than not. And so if we can reverse that curse just by demonstrating love and support and encouragement, then God will be well pleased.
Wow, Darryl, that is so powerful. The percentage says that if you have an incarcerated parent, you are more likely to be incarcerated. Well, if we have it our way, we're going to do our best to make that percentage go down. You guys, we're going to take this last break. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. Our guest is Elder Darryl Woods, and we're talking about remembering the least of these at Christmas. We're going to come to our last segment right after this break. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 313-778-7600. We'll be right back. We are back. We are back for our last segment We got issues, and I'm so excited. We have a couple of callers that we want to hear from. Let's go to the phone line. Sylvia, are you there?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I wanted to know if there's a phone number where people can reach out for support, be it giveaways or educational programs. I do know of a young man. He has at least 4 or 5 children, and they need furniture, so they really in need of things. The children need beds. And I just wanted to know if there was a phone number. Everybody that's not technically savvy and know how to do the cash app for donations. Myself, I'm still in the Stone Age. I'm money order. You know what? I'm gonna have you leave your information with the station. So that we can reach out to you. I'm not sure unless if there is a number that you have that you want to give out, that's fine. If not, we just take Sylvia's number and we can reach out to her after the show.
Yeah, I can give her my email address if that's good enough.
Okay, yep.
It's Darryl Woods, DarrylWoods SR@gmail.com. That's Darryl Woods Senior @gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you so much. Darryl Woods, thank you for calling here at Gmail. You got it, Sylvia? Okay. All right. We have another caller, PG. Are you there? Good evening, ladies. How are you? And good evening to Darryl Woods Senior. I wanted to ask you a question, Mr. Woods. What is the best way for our society to reduce the rate of recidivism among Black men, Black women, and our Black youth, i.e. boys and girls?
That's a phenomenal question. I'm doing a lot
interaction with the leaders of the Michigan Department of Corrections and those in the Sheriff's Department and groups. Recidivism is down in the state of Michigan now. It is at its lowest at this point. However, we need to do much better. So one of the things I'm proposing right now, that we have a welcome home celebration for those who are returning back to society. And that would look like some of our community leaders, faith-based leaders, and their families, if they have families, and some mentors, to welcome them back soon as they are paroled out of the system, and to be able to help them get reacclimated back into the community, and let them know that we see them and that we hear them, and that we love them and we want them to succeed. So connecting them to the resources that they need, whether it be job training and job placement, whether it be literacy programs and mental health services, so that they can be empowered and someone will be able to walk with them throughout that process for a period of time. Because you can't sit on a steel toilet and sleep on a steel bunk and be in there in that type of environment and not be scarred, and so you need counseling, and you need the mental health services to debrief from such a system, that would try to suck the life out of you. So that's a great question, and it takes all of us as a community to wrap our arms around these brothers and sisters that are coming home. One of the things that Greater Grace Temple does is that we have a prison ministry, and that prison ministry goes in and minister to the spiritual needs of the families. I want to see us build that up where we can be able to also connect them to some of those tangible needs, and so great question.
You know that there's work exploitation in the prison system because it's primarily dominated by Blacks and Latinos being incarcerated. Do you think that if the state and the laws were changed to allow men to earn the money that they're making in the prison system and pay their child support while they're locked up. Could that make a difference in attempting to restore the Black man and woman, i.e. the Black family?
I think that's you're spot on that. You know, when I was incarcerated, I saved my dollars and I sent my children gifts every month. I called their teachers. I called the principal. And so we have to go in there and encourage men and women to stay connected to their children. You know, we need parenting time inside the prisons. And so that they can have family reunification programs and things of that sort so that they can stay connected, but also when it makes sense to help them be able to get resources to their children while incarcerated. Every report card, I honored my children. Every birthday, I honored them. And just because, and during Halloween, I got candy out of the commissary and sent them bags of candy home because I didn't want them to go knock on no doors.
Wow.
You're definitely a role model, and thank you so much for what you're doing to try to protect our kids and to get our families back together. And I salute you.
Salute you, sister.
Thank you, PG, for calling in. Those were some great questions. Absolutely. Those questions even lead to a part 2 of this subject of, you know, how to keep children of incarcerated parents connected to their children. And I know, Darryl, for you did a great job with your 2 children and staying connected, even, you know, talking to their teachers, principals while you were in prison. That's kind of unheard of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's amazing.
You know, the other thing is there's things that are going on that are great that people don't know about. I mean, Darryl, you were doing great things with your children. Are there a lot of other things that are going on in the prisons that shine a positive light on our brothers and sisters in the incarceration that we don't know about? Is there anything that we need to know about that they're doing that we don't maybe know about, Darryl?
Oh, absolutely. While I was in there, me and my team, and they still doing it to this day, we raised over $100,000 for charitable causes. You know, we was dues paying members of the Detroit branch NAACP. We had our family members organized on voter engagement, you know, and so we did so many things while incarcerated. In the county jail, this past election, we had over 500 people vote in the Wayne County Jail. How do I know? Because I went in there and registered them, and I was able to take the clerk in there and for they can do absentee ballot request forms and get their absentee ballots inside the jail. You know, and so we had thousands of votes that happened in the jails in the state of Michigan. So I told Big Gretch, I said, you got a sweet game, but you need a street game. And so we brought the street game, and that's how we won Michigan.
Wow, Darryl. Okay, we got to have you back for part 2 because there's a lot that's going on positively inside the jail, and we want to know about it. So, Darryl, thank you so much for being here on today. Again, you know, look up Angel Tree. It's definitely a great organization for you to give. You guys have been listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We will see you on tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Love, peace, and hair grease.